We're online. Please start.
Hi, everyone. How are you? It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Elian Huesca. I am LATAM Ops Lead at Decred project. And well, it's a pleasure to be here talking about what are we doing at Decred to share with you some of the updates that we're on, some of the things that we've been working over the past year and 2 years or so, and sort of where are we heading? What are our plans for the next for this year? So I really hope you enjoyed this talk. So, well, a bit of introduction of who I am. My name is Elian Huesca. I am a community. Well, I started as a community manager at Decred, and then now I'm fully working on events and marketing in the Latin American region. I started in the cryptocurrency industries as a professional back in 2018. I started creating a site for news in Spanish, and then I started giving consultancy for companies that wanted to know more about cryptocurrencies and how blockchain technology could be leveraged in their favor. So I was doing this throughout 2018. Well, before this, I started actually, getting into cryptocurrencies back in 2016, and then in 2018, when I was like, how can I, find a job in this industry? So I started, looking for different opportunities. Mid 2018, it's when I started collaborating with Decred, because I realized that there was not enough information in Spanish. So I decided to start collaborating with the project, first as a volunteer, and then in the late 2018, I was invited to work as a contractor for the project. And since then, throughout 2019, I've been organizing events in Latin America, Mexico, Argentina, Uruguay, Chile, Bolivia, Peru, Colombia, Venezuela. So we're really Panama. So we're really focusing on develop the Decred ecosystem in Latin America, but also to contribute to the broader cryptocurrency ecosystem in the region. Why? Because we think that Latin America is one of the key regions in terms of cryptocurrency adoption, because there are real needs for this kind of alternative of monetary alternatives, either in the cases where countries were hyperinflation, or either cases where in the case of remittances, for example, there is a clear advantage of using cryptocurrencies. So this is a bit of introduction of who I am, what am I working on, and now I'm going to talk to you more about what is Decred and what are we doing right now. So what is Decred? Decred is a decentralized autonomous digital currency with a strong focus on community-based governance. We are our own blockchain. We are a hybrid blockchain, a hybrid proof of work, proof of stake blockchain that is designed to give a formal mechanism for governance. Basically, to have a formal mechanism for the project to take for the community of stakeholders to take the decision over the direction of the project. We have a strong focus on how to make these decisions, and we have built a set of tools in order to have this governance mechanism in place. Particularly, a bit of the history of Decred. Decred was launched in February 2016, so it's a young project. It's a public blockchain of around 4 years. However, the development of the idea started back in 2013 when an anonymous developer by the name of Taco Time met with another developer called Insoc, and they started to build this idea with other developers from a company that back then was called Conformal Systems, and today it's called Company Zero. They work on the code for over 3 years, from 2013 to 2016, to have this this cryptocurrency that will have very strong fundamentals in terms of censorship resistance, permissionlessness, being a global peer-to-peer network, but also with a strong focus on how to take decisions over the network of this blockchain. Since then, I mean, some of the characteristics of Decred, there are only going to be 21 million coins. We took sort of the strongest fundamentals of Bitcoin, and we added elements that we thought were important. So how do we start with the project? Decred, as I mentioned, was launched in February 2016 with a pre-mine of 8% of all of the 21 million coins that will be in circulation. This pre-mine was divided 50% to the developers that work on the project for the previous years, and it was not given, but it was rewarded either as a payment or purchased by them at the price of 50 cents per coin. And the other 50% was airdropped to around 3,000 users that sign up worldwide for the project. And they received this airdrop as a way to bootstrap the proof of stake mechanism of the network. This is kind of one of the key differences that we have, is to have this hybrid blockchain that takes the security of proof of work miners and the possibility of users participating in the network in the form of locked coins. And this allowed for our mechanism of governance to take place. Another interesting characteristic that we have is that 10% of each block reward goes into a treasury. This treasury, at the moment, it's put in place in an entity called Decred Holding Group, in which this treasury is managed. The idea that we have, and I'm going to talk a bit more about this further on in the presentation, is to decentralize this treasury. At the moment, Company Zero, which is the biggest corporate contractor for Decred, has the control over these funds. The idea is to give this control entirely to the community of stakeholders for them to take decisions on this treasury. At the moment, they already have decision-making power to decide how to allocate these resources. The next step is to link this allocation of resources to the treasury itself. When we get into this point, there won't be a single point of failure over our treasury, and this is kind of one of our goals for the next. I mean, I'm not sure if we're going to see this this year, but it's something that is already in the pipeline. Some of our core developers are presented a proposal to get this process of decentralization of the treasury, and I'm going to talk a bit more about how do we make proposals and in order to vote for them and to govern what we do with the project. At the moment, the Treasury currently holds over 600,000 decrets, which comes around $7 million. I'm going to talk to you a bit more about how we have spent this money over the past years. And basically, the idea now, and a lot of the focus that we're putting in, is to decentralize this treasury and give full control, full autonomy to the community of stakeholders. This is the treasury in particular is something that I'm quite fascinated by, because it truly gives the power to the network to maintain itself. It gives the possibility for the project to keep building itself without the need for donations or venture capital investment on the project. Something that it's truly interesting in the context of cryptocurrencies, because this allows for the projects to be completely autonomous, completely independent, and do not make any scheme or any concession for a for-profit scheme, which is something that we realize that as these projects grow, there has to be an alignment of incentives between all the parties that comprehend the network. In this sense, having an interest, an alignment of interest between the stakeholders, miners, developers, the community in general, coin holders, allows for the project to keep building and to keep moving in one direction without the need for destructive hard forks. One of the characteristics of the project is that it is something that we call hard fork resistant. The project itself, all the code of Decred is open source, is public, is on GitHub. Anyone can fork the code, but it's not easy to fork the community. What am I saying with this? You can copy the code because it's public, it's open source, but the community at the end of the day, through our proof of stake mechanism, will decide which is the original or the original network, the original chain of Decred. This is something that is quite interesting and has a profound impact on the development and growth of the project in the context of hard forks. As we see over time, historically, when a hard forks come into place, there is this conflict of interest or disagreement within a community. A good example of this could be the hard fork of Bitcoin into Bitcoin Cash that we saw in August 2017, in which through this there was a conflict. There was a conflict between the actors that decided to take the decision to create a new fork. So when this happened, what we're seeing is that there's a negative impact on the network. Why? Because basically, on the one hand, the community is dividing, and as we see now, we have now two bands: Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash. They both throw trash to each other to see which is the original coin, the original chain. So we see a fracture in the community. And then we see a process of what we would call artificial inflation, in which there are now 21 million Bitcoin Cash created, which in practice would reduce the value of the original chain. We see this as negative impacts of how the governance mechanism works in pure proof of work blockchains, and we see the need for a mechanism that allowed for the community to take decisions in order to not see these splits in the chain, these splits in the community. So how are we spending the money of the Treasury? So the project, the core project development was funded by Company Zero from February 2016 till May 2017, when the project was still too small and the Treasury was still very small to start spending these funds. So there was this moment from 2017 when the Treasury started being used, and we can see here how over the years the amount, this is sort of the amount that we have spent on the development of the project. This timeline ends in the Q1 of 2019. Is not updated in this presentation, but we now know that we spent around $150,000 on the development of the project throughout 2019, and it was the first time that we spent more money than the money that we receive on the Treasury. It's very interesting to see how through all the information that we have on this Treasury, on the block rewards, on how this money is being stored, that we can predict or we can foresee how are we going to spend money in the medium or long term. As we can see here, this is one of the greatest advantages that the developers of Decred saw at the beginning of the project. They need to have a Treasury that would allow for the constant development and payment of all the things that are required for a project of this size. As of today, we estimate that Decred has cost around $7 million. This is quite interesting and quite surprising to see a top tier project built, and with the size that we have, the reputation that we have, the numbers that we have, with this amount of money on a context of projects that raise dozens or hundreds of millions of dollars in the cryptocurrency industry. There is a very sort of a conservative spending on the project, as we see that these are scare funds, and that we need to take care of them on the best possible way to take the most advantage of them. So, well, as I mentioned before, I'm going to talk to you about the treasury management. How are we managing this this treasury that, as of today, it has around $7 million, more or less. Of course, this is something that fluctuates according to the exchange rate. However, this treasury, it's kind of the core elements of Decred's design that ensures its sustainability over time. It ensures that this is a project that is going to continue building over time, as long as if the rate stays as it is right now, we are going to be able to permanently build the project, which is something quite interesting in the context of the cryptocurrency and blockchain projects. So as of today, this treasury is managed by a corporate entity, and the idea is that we're going to decentralize this treasury management. We have developed a tool that anyone can visit. I invite you to visit proposals.decred.org. There are several proposals at the moment being discussed. This from Latin America, and this is just kind of a, what do we do at Proposals? What do we do in Politeia? We, as community members, as stakeholders of the project, present proposals for the development of Decred's ecosystem and ask for funds to the Treasury in order to build or to create or to make these projects happen. Yesterday, I presented a proposal for the events and, well, for the marketing in Latin America of the project. This is a second proposal that I've presented to the project. The first one was from November 2019 till May 2020, and the next proposal is going to go from May 2020 to December 2020. How the process works. So I, as a stakeholder of the project, as a community member, I presented this proposal, and now the community of stakeholders are going to vote. There are currently there is a target that in our proof of stake system, in which there are 41,000 votes on a pool of votes. Each vote is represented on a ticket that it's represented. These tickets are purchased by locking coins, locking Decred into a smart contract for a random period of time. These tickets give the power to the stakeholders, to the owners of these tickets, to vote in these proposals. As you can see in this slide, you can see that those are some of the past proposals: the Decred bounty proposal, the Decred contractor clearance process, and all these proposals are presented to the community for voting. So this is how we take decisions over the off-chain decisions of the project, and also on-chain. So Politeia works as a governance platform for Decred stakeholders to decide on on-chain changes to the protocol, meaning changes to the code of Decred, but also to take off-chain decision about the resources of the project. How do we spend the money? What's the direction that we want to take as a project, as a community for Decred? This is basically what Politeia is built for us to take decisions in a formal way. How does Politeia work? It's basically like a Reddit forum in which you have conversations But in this case, all these conversations, all the comments, all the information that is on proposals.org.org is attached. Well, it's a link to the to Decred's blockchain. So every communication is hashed on the blockchain in a way that is unmutable. You cannot change the comments, the opinions, and the proposals that are on Politeia. And so this is kind of a how are we treating the Treasury? This is a Treasury snapshot. At the moment, we're spending roughly $250,000 per month on the project. No, this is not correct. I think I'm wrong in this number. And then, well, there is unless there is a substantial sustained drop on the DCR USD exchange rate, Decred can continue paying its contractors for decades. And this is something super powerful in the context of projects that are designed or thought to exist for decades or even centuries. Whoever builds a cryptocurrency that aims to be a superior store of value and is not considering to continuously build this project over decades, centuries even, is really not doing things right, because we're building these technologies to be assets that will withstand the loss of time. I'm really working for build these assets in a manner that I'm gonna inherit this to my family, and they are gonna do it to their families, because these are assets that are designed to exist for generations to come. So what we've managed to build at Decred in order to build the project is a contractor management. It's a contractor model that allows for people to participate in the project. Our ethos is an open source ethos, which is basically being an open project for anyone that wants to participate in the construction of the project. We've built these management tools, contractor management tools. We have a contractor management system that allows for contractors to bill their work to the project, and also to receive a compensation for their work in the form of Decred. This allows for the project to have a global workforce that can work from basically anywhere in the world, regardless of geographical location. And who is Decred? Decred is around more than 70 contractors from over 35 countries working on different areas of the project. Software development, marketing, strategy, events, research. And really, it's a very interesting model, because anyone can participate. We have contractors that are pseudonymous. I have colleagues that I don't know who they are. I don't know where they come from, but it really doesn't matter, because we value work over personalities. We think that the value that a person's work can give to the project is more important than the personality of this person. It really doesn't matter for us the gender, the nationality, the race, the backgrounds, the origin, the preference. It really doesn't matter, as long as its work, his or she's or whoever's work is valuable to the community of stakeholders of the project. And well, now I'm going to give a bit of a roadmap overview. What are the things that we have on site that we're kind of excited about it, that we're looking forward to it. And so some of the things that this is kind of there is this aversion towards roadmaps in the project, because they tend to create excessive expectations about what is going to be built in the future. So we make an active effort to stay away from roadmaps, and rather to start seeing our proposal system, to start seeing Politeia as a possible roadmap for the project. We see all these proposals that are being funded from our decks. We're building a decentralized exchange that was decided through a proposal on Politeia. We have also the decentralization of the Treasury. We have marketing issues. We have a lot of efforts that are being built on this proposal system on Politeia that are being decided there, and we are seeing this as a roadmap. We can see this as a kind of a way to know where we're heading through the proposals that are being presented to the project and put into consideration for the community to vote on them. And we think that this is a more realistic and realistic approach to build the project and to share what we're doing at the moment. So I'm going to talk about kind of three elements that we're working as of today strongly on this. Some of them are already integrated into the network, and this is a governance in terms of Lightning Network and privacy. In terms of governance, we have been making consensus rule changes on the blockchain, on our blockchain, since April 2017. Really, we do have, I mean, we laugh as a community about all the governance issues that we see in the ecosystem of people not being able to actually, you know, agree on something, because of course, there is disagreement. There are conflicts of interest. There are a lot of people that will have different visions of what these technologies have to be in the future. However, there has to be a way to take decisions in a proper manner for the community to have certainty on what is going to be the future of these blockchains. And why do we think governance is going to become one of the key elements of discussions in the foreseen future? Because as these public blockchains grow more and more, as these blockchains hold more and more wealth and resources, we're going to see the need to take decisions over the direction of this wealth. How can we decide over these networks when we put our wealth in them? I have an interest in decide what's going to be the future of these networks. And this is why we think governance is going to be one of the key issues of the future. As these blockchains hold more and more value and more wealth, people is going to ask themselves, people is going to wonder, what is going to happen in the future? How can I take a decision over my wealth if my wealth is stored in this store of value asset that lives on a blockchain? So we take this very seriously. Governance is at the core of what we do, because we see it as key for the future, for adapting the technology to a future that we really don't know how it's going to look. So this is the on-chain decision-making process started in April 2017. When we start making decisions into the protocol of Decred, and then the off-chain decision started in October 2018, when we start making decisions on how to spend these resources and how to decide on the direction of the project. Off-chain management of Contractor is being worked currently, so the Contractor management system is already in place, but there are things that are being updated on it towards the final step of decentralizing the Treasury funds that has been proposed, approved, and it's been, I think we're going to see the implementations. Here it says 2019, but I think we're going to see it this year, possibly already in the system. The Lightning Network, it's been already integrated into Decred. All the consensus changes needed to support the Lightning Network have already been made, and it's already active on mainnet. We see this integration into the Lightning Network as the right step in order to explore new alternatives for scalability and interoperability. We do see a world in which all the public blockchains are going to be interoperable. There's going to be a high degree of interoperability among them, and the Lightning Network is one of the elements that we see as one of the engines for this interoperability. the Lightning Network has ported Decred and has an initial release. There is a rough integration into the Lightning Network daemon, into the graphic user interface wallet that we have, which is the Crediton. But we're going to see a proper integration in it in the next months. We definitely see this as something very valuable in terms of interoperability, but also scalability. And this gets linked into the work that we're doing on the DEX, on the decentralized exchange that we're building. We do see a future of non-custodial exchanges in which users have full control of their funds. And through technology like atomic swaps, they can exchange cryptocurrency without the need of a third party. Developers at Decred are some of the innovators in terms of atomic swap development, of software development. Some of the first implementations of atomic swap happened between Decred and Litecoin back in 2017, and this is something that we're really looking for. It. How can we give more control, more power to our users? Then privacy. This is again one of the core values of Decred's ethos. We want this technology to be something that empowers people to have control over their wealth, over their money, and having a privacy mechanism for this, we see it as paramount. We recognize that there is no way that these technologies are going to become digital cash, digital money, if there is no fungibility in these networks. This is why we've been. I mean, and this is something that it got announced back in last year, around September, building this privacy infrastructure in order to give more privacy to the funds of our users. And basically what we're doing is that we are leveraging our technology, we are leveraging our pool of tickets of the proof of stake mechanism in order to create a different approach to give a higher degree of anonymity to our users. This is something that is already implemented, but at the moment it's only on CLI, command line interface. There is not yet an integration into our GUI, our graphic user interface, but this is something that we're seeing that is going to happen in the next within the next months. It's very interesting to see how there is a growing need for these technologies to allow users to have privacy on their phones. As of today, around 20% of all Decreds have been already have already used these tools for anonymation and privacy. And we see something that we think is gonna grow over time as more users look for ways to preserve and keep private their funds. This is a chart that we made just to have an idea of the different privacy approaches that we have in the industry. We have several technologies that have been built in order to approach this issue of privacy, from Monero and the ring signatures that they use, SK Snarks on Zcash, Mimble Wimble, and project like Green and Beam, CoinJoins in Bitcoin, or in Dash that uses this other technologies, private send. And then in the case of Decred, we're using a technology called CoinShuffle++, which is it was something that was already there. It's sort of a low medium complexity technology that would allow for a simple privacy implementation that we see as key for the continuous growth of the project. So basically, I think this is it. This is kind of the update of what we're doing, where we're heading. Thank you everyone for listening. And I'm gonna give you a brief on all our networks. Please, if you would like to know more about the project, you visit decred.org. If you like to go to visit our communications room, It's open for anyone to visit. Just go to chat.decred.org. If you would like to know more about the proposals that we're building and that are going to be presented in the next days, and they're actually now under voting, please visit proposals.decred.org. For more information or on our social media, you can find Decred Project on Twitter, Facebook, pretty much all social media. We are a decentralized project, so a lot of these efforts come from a decentralized network of contributors, of users, of stakeholders, of contractors that work on this. There is not a centralized entity that dictates what is the road for Decred. This is kind of the future of the project. You can visit our Telegram in t.me/Decred, and please visit our webpage at decred.org. If you have any question, please drop me a message on Twitter. You can find me as @Elian Huesca. That's ELIAN HUESCA. And I'm happy to talk more about what are we doing in the project and where are we heading. It's been a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invitation. I hope everyone is having a great time, and I will see you the next time.